What's the most cringeworthy approval-seeking behavior you've ever seen? I knew a girl who pretended to have amnesia due to mental and emotional trauma from her boyfriend dumping her and started a Facebook group for all of her friends to get together and tell nice stories about her to try to jog her memory. You know, a lot of psychotherapists believe traumatizing memories help jog the brain a whole lot more, so let me tell you a few things. This girl in high school went around with a piece of paper that represented her self-esteem. Every time someone was mean to her, she would tear off a piece. She said it would take 10 nice things for a piece to be taped back on. You can guess how this went. I freaking love confetti. I have a friend that has been engaged, with ring and crap included, with every boyfriend that she has ever had. Every year she gets a new boyfriend and every year she makes a big show and announcement of her engagement on Facebook, followed by dozens of pictures of her with the new guy, calling him hubby and talking about the married life and how she feels like she was already married to him. A few months will go by and then we lose track of the guy and her on Facebook. And then out of the blue another one appears and is the same cycle all over again. I swear to God, this woman looks like she just likes to collect engagement rings and it's pulling one heck of a prank on all these idiots. No lie, I've seen already 5 engagements. Never a single actual marriage date, and always feel sad for every boyfriend that comes along. She also completely adopts the personality of the guy she's currently with. If the guy is a surfer, she will become a bleached blonde surfer. If he's a DJ, she will also start DJing and talk non-stop about music. If the guy happens to be Russian, she will start posting crap in Russian. The current one is a tattoo artist and she's now a pin-up type of girl. I know 98% of you won't share this. Time to find out who my real friends are by sharing this. If you can't be bothered to share this, then you might as well just unfriend me right now. Unfriends. I just cleared out my friends list. If you're editing this, you made the cut. Damn it, I made the cut. People who accidentally post a carefully arranged and posed selfie. Oh my god, my dog accidentally took this photo of me. Oops, I accidentally uploaded this to my Instagram. Such a klutz. Slavery is the future for all of us. LOLXD, my freaking cow barged in and smashed my keyboard typing this on accident. Dude who told everyone that he's gonna work out just to carry his girlfriend. Did push-ups in the office for everyone to see. His girlfriend is pretty small. Sounds like he's pretty small, too. Messaging you to like their new photo on Facebook. Also, people who don't know when to just say thank you and shut up after they've been complimented. Overdo your denial of it and it just seems like you're fishing for compliments. Went to a girl's birthday party where she made everyone there sit in a circle and say their favorite thing about her. She told her boyfriend if he didn't come up with something good enough, she was breaking up with him. She was turning 21. We don't speak anymore. That is literally the plot of King Lear. And it all goes horribly wrong. At a Target store in the US, we had a visit from a regional manager to one of our stores. A cashier went out of his way to walk alongside the store manager during the tour with the regional managers almost unnoticed. When they all realized he was walking with them, he blurted out this long-winded story how I just wanted to come by and let you know that a relative was shopping at Walmart. Not me personally, cause I would never shop Walmart. She came by my house and tears at how disgusting the shelves were over there, and she promised me she'd never return and will only shop at Target from now on. How's that for a bullseye? Hey guys, you could see the stars in this kid's eyes. Like he thought his story would lead to some Cinderella moment where the managers would point out his moxie and fast track him to be CEO or something. Instead, they all slowly cringed back and walked away from the store manager and the cashier. Worked at a department store in the same realm as Target. If you were a smart employee like some of my colleagues and myself, you would do your best to constantly remain on the opposite side of the store as the regional managers. They hate everything. If you get noticed, it is never a good thing. Guy in my middle school used to have friends that would tell him to do a Superman down a steep bank at the school. He'd run and dive and fly for a few seconds like Superman before face planting on the steep bank and crashing down the hill. He'd always get back up all banged up and look at his friends, but they'd run away. That's really sad, the things people will do for acceptance. I used to receive $20 each week for school lunches. We'd run up this rather long path to the strip mall, Subway, 7/11. Grocery store, etc. and have lunch each Wednesday Friday. Being a rather skinny kid who couldn't possibly consume $20 worth of food, would use more than half of it to treat my friends. I like the instant praise I received when I would buy them a Slurpee or snack. However, I didn't really hang out with anybody after school, or get invited to big parties. I was just a rich kid in a pool of leeches. Kids would approach me and ask me to spot them $2, which I happily did, only to 180 and ignore me shortly after. I knew that we weren't all truly friends, but I did because for that 30-minute session each week I felt accepted. Now I'm in my 20s, realizing I lost a few $100s in middle school because I wanted to belong. Good friend's dad died. As the family was putting his ashes out at sea, the mom had somebody else take pictures of her and her grieving kids and then she posted them on Facebook. The kids were pee, for good reason. Don't exploit your crying children for Facebook likes. When I was a freshman in high school, 12 plus years ago, there was a junior who was constantly in fights, wore shirts with skulls and just generally tried to make himself seem like a badass. He outdid himself one morning when he came to school covered in the blood of a homeless man he beat stomped to death. Happy ending though, they tried and convicted him as an adult. Came to school one morning covered in the blood of a homeless man. What the frick? My cousin has a 7-year-old and it would be an understatement to say that this kid is not the best and the brightest. Same goes for my cousin. You know the type, she's always putting up a front trying to sound intelligent, posting pseudo-scientific articles on Facebook and loudly bragging about what a huge atheist she is and what a big nerd she is and how much she reads, etc. Recently she has started taking her kid into bookstores and posing him with different books, like textbooks way beyond the reading level of a 7-year-old, then taking a picture to post to Facebook with a caption like "Anthony picked this advanced quantum theory book up all by himself and won't let me take it away from him. My boy is so smart. It's too bad because in reality he has a serious eye problem that makes it so he can't read and probably needs to be in special ed for some learning disabilities. She's doing him no favors but would rather put on a social media show than be a parent." A while ago, someone I know made a big show on Facebook that they were pregnant with a new boyfriend that they had only just met. The announcement was a photo of the pregnancy test and she must have been like only a couple of weeks or whatever. This was after she had status up saying that they were trying, and everyone was commenting saying you just met the guy, isn't it too fast? A week later, after announcing she was pregnant, it turned out she wasn't pregnant. Phantom pregnancy, incorrect results on test, or very early miscarriage. So she put this status up saying that she was devastated and that she'll never forget Rose and that she loved Rose and that she can't be replaced. No one commented, liked, reacted or anything. Every day for about 2 weeks she kept sharing her status looking for sympathy and no one gave a frick. Scary that such immature behavior can come out of a 25-year-old. My dog begged me for pets, but when I didn't pet her enough, she went up to a complete stranger and asked to be petted. She does this with food too. I initially read that first line as your dog asking you to buy more pets for her to play with. One of my former friends is boldly, unapologetically narcissistic. Most cringeworthy recent quote, "I can't even eat Italian food in America anymore because it was so good in Italy. Totally ruined it for me," said as loudly as possible at a friend's birthday dinner at an Italian restaurant. Freaking idiot. I dated a guy like this, but it was basically all food. Anytime I'd take him to a restaurant or cook for him, he'd say it was okay, but oh man, nothing could compare to the delicious food he'd had on all of his exotic adventures around the globe. Went to a friend's wedding and got sat to this really annoying chick who wouldn't shut the frick up about studying optometry. Every time someone brought up a neutral topic she'd always twist it around and loudly remind the group that she was studying optometry. So what TV shows are you guys keeping up with? I don't really watch any TV since I'm caught up in my optometry coursework. Giggles. Any. UHH. Travel plans for this summer? No, it's so tough to make that kind of time since I'm really close to graduating from the optometry program. We all just started to pretend that she didn't exist. I guess she really had nothing else going on in life. She just kept drawing attention to that, which made it so much worse. She fixes people's sight, but no one wants to see her. I personally know someone who recently made the front page of Reddit by posting before and after pictures of weight loss. He stated that he did it by exercising and cutting out soda. I've known him for years and he actually had weight loss surgery paid for by the government. He made little to no changes in his diet lifestyle. Out him in awkwardness or bullshit and reap that tasty butt karma. My friend's older brother back in the day always tried to be cool by doing the craziest stuff if dared to. So one day he dares himself to crap his pants in front of myself and 2 girlfriends, turning a deaf ear to our you are growth remarks. He shoots himself, shakes the crap down his pant leg, and the crap falls out onto his sneaker. We ran away at the sight of the turd immediately, while he stood there in the woods covered in his own crap and poor decision. I had a friend who I dared to crap himself in front of all of our friends in high school one time. He sat there and grunted and all of a sudden his face turns pale, looks completely shocked, and he pivots 90 degrees and starts booking it to the bathroom, leaving a trail of kibbles and bits on the way. This was 10 years ago and we still give him crap for it, pun intended. This may make some of you mad, but I'm about to speak my mind on this subject. Person then proceeds to give opinion that 90% of their Facebook friends agree with. I live in NC and right now the HB2 thing is really getting talked about a lot. As someone who is vehemently against it, I see people on both sides declare how brave they're gonna be before praising blasting the bill. And it's always just a slew of people agreeing with them. Nothing says bravery like yelling into an echo chamber. 2 of my dearest friends just had their first baby. These 2 people are the most wonderful people I've ever met. Everyone they love always comes first and they do everything and anything they can to help should you need it. She was in labor for almost 40 hours, had a bunch of complications and we were honestly worried for her safety. When her sister arrived at the hospital, 30+ hours into labor, she walked toward the birthing room, collapsed in the doorway and had herself a pretty little panic attack on the floor in full fetal position. For no goddamn reason. So my dear friend had to force herself to be strong for her ailing sister while she was still in active labor. This was in November and I still want to punch that woman's face. Had a guy come out on Facebook. It was Transgender Awareness Day month, and he decided that was the appropriate time to come out. You see, he was biologically born a man, but he had so many strong woman figures in his life that he always admired and looked up to, so he thought women were really great and so he's transgendered. And he understands that can be really confusing, but he wants you to know that for pronouns he prefers he and him, because he's transgendered. My jaw was on the floor, and because he's a flirt and super attractive, girls everywhere were swooning over how brave he was. In case you are unclear, born a man, always was a man, continues to be a man, only identifies as a man, is a man, but is apparently transgendered. Holy frick, that's actually disgusting and at least 5 different kinds of offensive, and not the Tumblr tot version of offensive either. My ex. She was lactose intolerant, which made it difficult to find food she could eat in restaurants, etc. However, even after we'd quiz the waiter and get them to check with the chef that there's no dairy on whatever she was ordering, she would always risk it by having some of my meal, which would include dairy in some form or another. This would inevitably lead to her feeling sick within 30 minutes and I would then spend the rest of the evening looking after her. This ruined dozens of days and nights out, but she seemed to prefer being looked after to actually going out with me. Thing is, all she has to do is take 2 little over-the-counter pills and she'd be fine. I knew a girl in middle school who lost a lot of weight after being put on ADHD medication. She used to swan around and complain loudly about how she was never hungry anymore and she just couldn't stop losing weight. She kind of stopped doing it after some guy told her, really don't worry, it's not noticeable. Alright, this is pretty bad. I have a friend who is pretending to go to college. He is from the Bronx but lives in my friend's apartment. Even worse, he was kicked out by the landlady but is staying since my friends kinda felt bad about what he would do and where he would go. He constantly sleeps in and says class is cancelled, but we recently logging into his school account on his laptop and he is officially not a registered student. He constantly says he acing all of his classes. He even leaves the house to go to his internship for school, even though you have to be a registered student for that very program. He actually works nights, posts it on Snapchat stories and crap. and always says how hard it is balancing everything, on top of going for a master's degree. It's pretty insane. So he is basically lying to his friends and family about going to school, and wasting money on rent and traveling to and from Manhattan, all to promote a farce. Lying about social financial status and one-upping everything everyone says. Always having to be better, smarter, richer than everyone else. Just ended a long-term acquaintance type friendship over this. I just could not take it anymore, especially when different versions of the story were getting told to different people, even though this person had to know we all talk to each other. A gorgeous girl with 5,000 Facebook friends saying stuff like I'm ugly and nobody likes me on her wall, except spelled a lot worse. A gorgeous girl with 5,000 Facebook friends saying stuff like I'm ugly non-dial-XM on her wall. Fiffy. When my son was little, we used to occasionally pay the kid next door to babysit him. My son loved it when Sean would come over because Sean played with him. Unlike some other babysitters, they built Lego stuff together, played video games together, etc. When my son learned that we were paying Sean, he decided to save up his allowance so he could hire Sean to play with him. Even if his mom and I weren't planning to go out, we told him, "You can't do that. You can't just pay somebody to play with you." He asked, "Why not?" I couldn't think of a good answer, so I think we just started making plans to go out more often. My very adult sister cries and screams like a 4-year-old throwing a fit whenever someone else is the center of attention. This has happened at weddings, funerals, graduations, and many family gatherings. Needless to say, she's not often invited. Worst time has been when others are seriously ill and she makes it about how she has to suffer with putting up with sharing a space with said person or just knowing about it, since it worries her. I'm so glad we don't live together anymore. Oh god, it was me. When I was in high school I wasn't very popular, but I wasn't bullied or anything. It was just a big school, so I kind of went unnoticed. Well, this class clown type of guy in my Spanish class used to bug me a lot to get a laugh or two. None of it was particularly mean, so I didn't care. I think I just liked the attention and he was pretty funny. Well, one of the things he would say was that I would look good with blue hair. You would look really cool etc, etc. He was really only joking, but in my mind I thought maybe he's teasing me because he likes me, so I freaking dyed my hair blue like an idiot. I mean, we weren't friends. It's not like this was some kid I talked to or hung out with. When I went to class the next day it was so awkward and everyone knew I did it because of him. On top of that, the dye faded into a nasty green color fairly quickly. I still cringe thinking about it. A girl in my class talks to all the teachers like she is equal to them and intellectually more advanced than everyone. She thinks she's good friends with them, but most I've talked to find her annoying. I had a girl like this in my geometry class that didn't do any of the homework because she didn't need to. She failed the class. This will get buried, but posts on Reddit. Many times I come across these comments in the middle of the comment thread. High school. I remember this one kid who was just dying to be part of the popular crowd. He would do absolutely anything these guys asked. They made him do some really crappy stuff that reflected really poorly on them more than him, but no one else could see it. Made me just feel sorry for the kid. But the cringe-worthy stuff I'd see from him was when they'd be talking and he'd just sidle up to us and just laugh at whatever anyone said. Laughed first and loudest and just looked around at everyone's faces as if trying to suck in the happiness from everyone else. Regretting that last line was like a punch in the stomach. I've seen some fricked up hazing rituals that people go through to get into some social groups. Some people are willing to do some horrendously weird crap to be accepted by the group. Man, frick that. Why would you want to hang with people who won't talk to you unless you pee on a toddler whilst you've got a celery stick up your butt? This kid I knew in middle and high school would leave drawings or stories he was working on out on his desk accidentally, so that people walking by would compliment them. They were pretty much crap. If no one noticed them, he would accidentally drop them off the desk towards someone else, so that when the other person picked it up, they'd comment on it. At one point, he had a big sketchbook that he would just leave open on desks in the middle of class so that everyone could see his poorly drawn anime characters. This kid was me. Also, I'm pretty sure telling this story counts as cringe-worthy approval-seeking behavior. Faking anorexia for sympathy. I have several friends who went through anorexia or other eating disorders, and it still angers me so much how this girl acted. She was incredibly rude about it, unlike any of the other people I knew who have went through it. She posted things on Facebook like my BMI's only 13 but no one seems to notice despite her not all looking 25 kilo underweight. Or things about her diet to counter anorexia which no doctor would ever recommend, like eating 3 times the recommended calories to make up for the weight loss, which she had to do or else her organs would fail. She also had a non-anorexic twin sister that not only seemed to ignore her rants but was the same size as her as well. A girl who I, admittedly, strung along for a bit too long after I got out of a very serious relationship fabricated a story that she'd been diagnosed with terminal ovarian cancer, and that it was now or never with her. Little inconsistencies in her stories I'm studying medicine alerted me almost immediately, but I didn't call her out, just in case I was overanalyzing, in which case I would have looked like Austin Powers when he mistakenly outs Basil's mother as a man. When I started talking to her more, I'd moved a few hours away from my studies. She was miraculously declared cancer-free within days. Remember, it was terminal. I should have stopped talking to her then, but I decided to, once again, give her the benefit of the doubt. Every time I would go some amount of time without acknowledging her, the cancer would return and she'd be once again near death. It was really quite pathetic and I had no idea how to deal with it. I decided to keep her friends, some of whom were my friends, out of it until I let it slip at mutual friend's wedding, whereupon her closest friend overheard and looked absolutely appalled by the scope of the lie. She confirmed that the girl did not, in fact, ever have cancer. She unfriended me on Facebook shortly thereafter and sent me some rather nonsensical message about how it just wasn't going to work between us and she needed to move on. Since then I have stumbled upon numerous other significant fabrications, not exaggerations, she'd told me throughout the time I'd known her. The whole thing was very bizarre and taught me to trust my intuition when it comes to a person's intentions or integrity. I had a friend who once ate $1 for $1. Same friend, who is lactose intolerant, was dared to make an omelette in his stomach, regurgitate and pan fry eggs, milk, ham, peppers, onion, reheat cooked omelette, did it for $10. I have to hand it to whoever suggested the reverse omelette, it's pretty creative. One of my roommates is the absolute worst when it comes to this. She'll come up to me and start yelling in my face about how she wants my attention, or some of whatever I'm eating. Unfortunately for me, she's really close with my girlfriend, so I put up with picking up her poop and taking her on walks. Sounds like my GF's roommate. He lies around the house all day, then makes a ton of noise all night. Once we were hanging out in her room with the door closed, and the roommate asked to come in. We ignored him, so he took a dump in her shoe, then acted like nothing happened. He's really weird. He even tries to look under the door when I'm using the bathroom. An acquaintance of mine plagiarizes our show thoughts on almost a daily basis and basks in the glorious likes and comments of all his non-Redditor friends. The worst part? He's a writer for The Economist. A girl I went to HS with broke her leg in a car accident, but over-exaggerated her injuries. She created a Facebook group for herself called One Day We'll Walk Again and invited everyone in the school. Never mind the fact we had students in motorized wheelchairs who went to school with us, who were actually in therapy to hopefully walk again one day. It was ridiculous. She had 2 surgeries before her leg was officially mended. Then she was like, "I'm good guys. It's a miracle." That same girl also attempted to join the football team, and actually protested her inability to join by sitting on the football field for 30 minutes each morning before classes started, and nobody cared, so she eventually gave up. A friend who posted a Zillow link of the house he just bought to Facebook so people would see how much it is valued at, twice. I knew a girl in high school who would loudly threaten to kill or hurt herself if things didn't go her way, if people disagreed with her, or if she was proven wrong about something. I remember after the second X-Men movie came out, she said that it was really cool to have a female version of Banshee in the film. I told her that that was probably Sirin, Banshee's daughter. She got huffy and went on a tangent about how no such character existed. The next day, when I brought in a comic book to show her, she threw a tantrum, accused me of trying to make her look stupid, and loudly declared that she was going to slash her wrists. She didn't. There's a girl who is a FB friend. Just a friend request I accepted to not seem mean. She periodically sends me messages saying she is in love with me, always after a very public breakup with the flavor of the week. If I don't reply quickly enough, she sends nudes. No provocation, nothing, just sends that crap. She is exactly what people are referring to when they say, "Don't put your dong in crazy." I have not and shall not. Yikes, you are wise to keep your distance. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.